Happy Tuesday. It's Fat Tuesday. It is February 21st, 2023. Thank you so much for joining me again for another live Q&A session. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I almost forgot to say it. If you're new here, welcome. Welcome to these live Q&A sessions. My name is Angela. I am a full-time voiceover artist and audiobook narrator. And my channel here on YouTube is dedicated to those of you just getting started out in this wonderful world of voiceover and audiobook narration. And through my channel, I share with you some tips and tricks and techniques that I use every day in my own voiceover business. And I answer your questions in these weekly Q&A sessions, which have turned into more of a community hangout, which is cool. It's cool. I like it. We all hang out. We all spend some time together, and hopefully something will happen or a question will be asked or something I will say will help you along in your journey. If you're not new here, then you know every week we have a new poll because I like to pick your brains. And again, maybe a little nugget will come about here and there. But today's question is, what pay types do you typically look for when you're looking for an audiobook to narrate? And this is when you are on platforms where you can audition for these types of things and you have the ability to choose, between royalty share plus, or PFH, or per finished hour, or pay for production. It's called a couple different things, but basically the same idea. And let's check out this poll, and then I will define these terms for you because today's session is all about the terms used in audiobook narration and the pay types and getting paid. So that's what we're going to talk about today. So let's see what we got so far. All right. So 28 votes so far. And it looks like 20. Okay. So 28 votes. 46% of you said per finished hour or PFH. 4% of you said royalty share or royalty share plus only. And 50% of you said any and all pay types. And that's good. I think we should be open to everything because I find that some people tend to think that royalty share and royalty share plus are something to avoid. And I don't think that is the way to think about it, because any kind of income that you're making is good income, right? Anything is better than a big fat goose egg. Right? Any kind of income is good income. So, and royalty share books add up. If you find a nice niche that you like, that you enjoy, that doesn't take a whole lot of time to do, you could do a lot of those, and all of those, sales add up. And then in addition to those, you could do per finished hour or PFH books, and it's all income, right? But the only thing with royalty share or royalty share plus that you need to consider before doing those is, are you going to make money on these? Are you going to see a return on your investment of time and effort to create these books? That is the only thing to consider with those. But I say income, all income is good income, right? And it looks like the majority of you agree. So that's good. I think that's a healthy mindset to have coming into audiobooks. Let's check out the comments really quick, and then we'll talk about some terms. Hopefully we'll have some questions where I can kill a couple birds with just one stone. Let's see who's here. First in, Eric. Hello. Hi, Eric. Good to see you. Haven't seen you in a while. Good morning. Sorry I've missed you guys the last couple of Thursdays. Looking forward to seeing you all this week. We are looking forward to seeing you too, Eric. Missed your face and your commentary. Richard Martinek. Hope I'm saying that right. Hello. Love your videos. They're helping. Good. I'm glad. I am glad that they are helping you in your endeavors, Richard. And thank you for watching. Kara is here. Good morning and happy Taco Tuesday. Happy Taco Tuesday and Fat Tuesday. Happy Tuesday to you all. Michael V. Welcome all to Angela's Tuesday Tangent Fest. That's fairly accurate. I do go off on a lot of tangents. Give her a topic and off she goes. Yeah, that's kind of the point of these, right, though? That's what I tell myself anyway. Just teasing. Your tangents always have lots of useful nuggets in them. I love Tuesdays. Okay, good. Good. I'm glad that my tangents aren't too off-putting. Rensink Ramblings. Hope I'm saying that right. Hello from concrete washing. That sounds like fun. That sounds like a great Tuesday. Andy B. Hi, Andy. Haven't seen you in a while. Hi, hello, Angela and everyone. Just checking in. I missed a few get-togethers the past few weeks. That's okay. I'm hoping that you're okay, first and foremost, and that if you are okay, that you've been putting some of the recommendations and suggestions in place that we've been making for you, us and everyone else here in the last few weeks. Hope to hear some updates from you on that. Allison, good morning, Allison. Thank you for being here. Rana says, hi, how can I do audiobook narration from Pakistan? Because ACX is not providing this services in Pakistan. ACX is just one platform. It's only one platform. There are lots of different ways to find audiobook work. And there are a few other distributors that I don't think you could quite search for books to audition for. However, you can make profiles on them and then make yourself available for rights holders to find your samples and then in turn offer you a job there. Or you can market your services independently, right? You can make connections through social media with some rights holders and publishers and ask if there's a place on their roster, or maybe ask if they're interested in having their book converted to an audiobook. There are platforms like Fiverr, Upwork, voices.com, voice123. I see voice or audiobook work on these platforms quite often. There's a lot of different ways to go about it. ACX is just one way. So take a look around, do some searching, and I'm sure you'll find lots of different ways to market yourself for audiobook narration. Just as another example, just my YouTube channel here, I have authors who find me here on YouTube looking for information about ACX, which leads them here, and they find me and they reach out to me directly and ask me if I'd be interested in narrating their audiobooks. So get yourself out there and introduce yourself to the world, as I say it, which is kind of a soft marketing technique, right? Through social media. It works. See, Chris VGL is asking, Andy, are you recording yet? I hope you are. I know you can get moving that way. Just, what do we say? What do we say here? Just do it. Just go record something, right? Just get started. Just do it. Mark Flores. Good morning, Mark. I've had an audiobook buyer on Fiverr who's been paying me by chapter to do a fan narration of a book based on the Terminator movies. Interesting. And I actually break down my gigs that way too. Or my audiobook gig, I give the rights holder or the buyer the option to break up the book in by chapter or by sections. Or if it's a really big book, I've had a few people take me up on that and just narrate sections of the book at a time to kind of break up the cost, the investment for the buyer, for sure. That's cool. Being flexible is something to definitely consider. Miss Mercenator. Cool username. Hi, Angela. So glad to see you again. Can you tell us a little bit about your mentorship program? Yes, I actually have, I'm actually quite booked at the moment. But I know people are different and like to learn in different ways. So I offer a few different ways to learn more about audiobook narration. And I have one-on-one sessions where you could just book 30 minutes with me if you just have questions or want me to help walk you through something. And then my mentorship programs, I have a 4-week and a 12-week. And you're basically meeting with me once a week for 30 minutes, and we focus on whatever it is that you need my help on. I kind of meet you where you are. And if you tell me, hey, I want to focus on audiobook narration or file setup or setting up profiles or platform profiles somewhere, I can help you with that. Pretty much anything that I can help you with, that we basically meet just once a week, and work through whatever it is that you need to work through. If you prefer a group setting, like Eric had mentioned before, we have a Thursday meeting where we meet at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time every Thursday for we're up to about 2 hours now, the meetings last, and we take turns reading scripts for each other, playing demos for each other. I do tutorials, we do Q&As. It's awesome. Everybody there is very helpful and supportive, and more feedback or more perspectives on things than just mine is always a very educational, environment to be in. And I learned so much from everybody in it myself. Andy B says, is it acceptable or even allowed to use scripts from pay to play sites as demo material, or would you have to get prior permission first? If they're paid jobs, I would definitely get permission first, because they might have the script that they paid you to read might be something that is not quite secret. I would think if it was something that you needed to keep under wraps, they would have you sign an NDA before you read it. But I would definitely ask first to use that material. And it's something in my Fiverr gig that when I deliver an order, I have in the verbiage of the order delivery, I would like to use a piece or all of this, of course, depending on how long the script is, for demo purposes, unless you tell me otherwise. And then I'll have clients that reply to me and they say, please don't use this, as this is something, in progress that we're not quite finished with yet, or something that is personal. So please don't use it as demo purposes. But, I include that verbiage in there. So it sort of doesn't really remind me. It's already in there. Oh God, I'm getting derailed. I think you guys know what I mean. But yes, ask permission first. I felt a tangent coming on. I had to suppress it. Savannah's here. Hi, Savannah. Hey, everyone tuning in from New York. Glad to have you. Glad to have you. Anthony's here. Good morning, Angela, and all Angelites. Tess Stalker is here. Hi, good morning. Glad to be here. I rarely catch you live. Well, I'm glad you could catch me and everyone else here. Fabulous to have you here. Sally. Good morning, Sally. Good morning from Pensacola, Florida. Overcast and calm today. Went to Blue Angel Music Store yesterday and investigating various sound equipment. Great equipment, but I will have to order my condenser mics. I always tell people there's nothing wrong if you could go to a store where they sell used, audio equipment, then do that in the very beginning. It doesn't have to be anything high dollar or brand new, unless you're one of those people like me that likes to have the warranty that comes along with these things. Just the peace of mind of knowing that you have a warranty is everything to me, but you don't necessarily have to buy stuff brand new. See if you like it, right? And if you do, then upgrade to something, a little bit more high quality, right? And then also, like, if you're investigating, that's good too. That way you can sort of put your hands on things and try things out before you buy too. So that's a great idea. It's a great point, Sally. Thank you for saying that. Mary's here. Good morning, Mary. Good morning. Happy Tuesday to you. Andy B says, auditions generally have just voice, but demos have to have music and or sound effects. Using other scripts are okay in auditions, but not in demos. I don't think you have to have music and sound effects in your demos. Most of my demos don't. They're not fully produced that way. I think personal opinion, I think when it comes down to it, they just want to hear your voice and what you're capable of doing and how you're able to interpret their script, right? They want to hear the range of your voice and the tonality, the inflection. If you sound like you are reading, right? They want to hear you. They don't necessarily need to hear the music and sound effects. It's really just for ambiance, right? And sort of paint the picture, set the stage, or set the tone for your narration. But ultimately, your narration is what they're looking for. So I don't think they're necessary. But, if you want to add them, do it. I have demos both ways, but the majority of my demos don't have any music or sound effects in them. But using other scripts are okay in auditions, but not in demos. I've personally used audition scripts, auditions that I've submitted in my demos in the very beginning when I didn't have any work to show. Um, I don't think there's a problem with that because it is an audition. It's something they're expecting you to record, right? And then I know most of the pay-to-play sites, including ACX and some others, if you submit an audition, you're allowed to use that as a sample on that site. So I wouldn't think that would be an issue, but a paid job, you definitely want to have permission to use that in your demos. Allison Bennett says, my first 7 projects have been royalty share. Now I only look for per finished hour. And that's typically what I hear, and that I've done the same. I started out with royalty share, and then royalty share plus came along later. But I haven't done a royalty share book in probably a couple of years now. Most of my books are at my per finished hour rate, and that's okay. But I would say definitely don't turn your nose up at a royalty share or royalty share plus, because again, any income is good income, right? Phil says, hey, Angela. Hey, Phil. How you doing? Great to have you here. Elizabeth. Hello, Elizabeth. Hi, Angela. I have a Fiverr question instead of an audiobook question. That is perfectly fine. I hope that's okay. Of course. I wanted to know your thoughts or advice on the 2 tiers of Fiverr's Seller Plus program. What do you recommend? Honestly, Elizabeth, I didn't know it was tiered now. I've been in Fiverr Seller Success Program since before it was a paid service. You were tapped and selected to be part of the program. And then once it became a paid service, then I was sort of grandfathered in at a lower rate, at a discounted rate, since I was already in the program. I didn't realize it was tiered now, but I'll have to go and look at the differentiators and the tiers. But I can tell you that being in the program does have its advantages, because the advanced analytics that you see, and again, I don't know what tiers have what, but the analytics that are there are definitely worth it. If you can select the tier, again, I don't know what's included in them, but if you can select the tier that has the analytics, and as far as the keyword research, which gigs and top keywords are used or searched for most often in your gigs, the access to a person, a success coach, is awesome, because you can meet with them for a half an hour or so and sort of get a peek behind the curtain and maybe some behind the scenes advice from your Fiverr seller coach. So that's definitely a plus. And also in your inbox, if someone reaches out to you and says, hey, I would like to get a quote on this, in the Fiverr Seller Success Program, you can also see a little bit of insight about the client themselves. You can see what they typically buy, what ratings they typically give, how much they typically spend, what category they buy in most often. So you can see that this person is an active seller or buyer on Fiverr, and that they are not just someone trying to scam you, right? You can kind of get an idea that they're going to be a good client and not someone to be wary of, right? And then also they just introduced the ability to move better reviews or highlight better reviews as a seller. So you can select a review to be seen instead of whatever shows up at the top, right? So if you just had someone who rated you poorly on something that maybe wasn't your fault, or something was some sort of a misunderstanding, and it doesn't really look good for you in your profile, you can actually move a 5-star review, up to the top to highlight it, to have that shown instead of the 1 or 2-star review. So there are definite benefits to being in the Seller Plus program. I always recommend it. But if there are 2 tiers now, I would definitely take a look at both of those and see which one has better benefits. But I think from personal experience, I've been a very happy Seller Success Program participant. It was almost a tangent. Facebook user. Okay, who is this? Sean. Hi, Sean. Hello, Angela. Sorry for hijacking your live stream. Excuse me, to ask this, but I was hoping I could ask you a quick question in private, less than 5 minutes. Okay. You're in my Facebook group, so go ahead and ask away. Uh, Jeff, is it Jeffrey or Jeffrey? I'm going to call you Jeffrey. I hope that's okay. So many authors are self-publishing now, so royalty share can be very low if they don't sell. Very true. Very true. But in my personal experience, I've seen a lot of self-published authors don't, because they have done this very low budget, they're doing this all themselves and they probably don't want to share the royalties going forward. Personal experience. So I find that most of my self-published authors are going the per finished hour rate that I have seen. I could be wrong. Trends always change. But you never know when a debut novel is just going to take off either. But I think if it's a shorter book and it's something you enjoy, give that author a break. Keep in mind they're people too. They're people that have put a lot of time and effort and imagination and just maybe something that took them years to create, and they just want a voice to it, you know? But the beauty of this ultimately is you can choose what you want to do. This is your business. So if you wanna do a little bit of everything, do that. If you want only royalty share, do that. If you want only per finished hour, do that. But that is a great point. Facebook user, let's see, who is this? This is Colette. Hi, Colette. How do you get paid if you've never gotten paid before? Well, it depends on which route you're going. Let's just say you are on ACX, okay? And somebody offers you a royalty share contract. You agree, you produce the book. If it's royalty share, then ACX or Audible will collect 20% of every audiobook sold. And then at the end of the month, they will send you whatever you've accrued in sales. Okay. Royalty share plus, actually, let me back up and go. Next would be per finished hour. And that is when you're paid per hour of finished audio. And that's roughly, I say 10,000 words because that's just easier to calculate, but it's closer to about 93,000 or 9,300 words. Every 10,000 words, 9,300 words, is roughly a finished hour. So let's just say you're offered a 3-hour book. It's 30,000 words. That's roughly 3 finished hours. So if your rate per finished hour is $100, let's just say, for example, then you would make $300 on that per finished hour book. Okay. And then in that case, if it was a per finished hour book, you would have to invoice that author on ACX. ACX doesn't collect that money. The only money they collect and pay you are your royalty share sales, right? Your 20% of royalty share. If it's a per finished hour book, you need to invoice the author. Okay. And I also highly recommend collecting 50% up front. That way that sort of dissuades any, ne'er-do-wells on ACX that are trying to just take your files and run. If you collect 50% up front, then you know that they're a legit person. And then you have royalty share plus, which is sort of a hybrid between royalty share and per finished hour. It's royalty shares you'll collect, right? You'll get your 20% royalty share on every book that is sold. In addition to that, you'll also get typically a smaller per finished hour rate. So you'll get both. You'll get paid for your time up front, and then you'll also collect royalties on the book going forward. So it's kind of a little bit of both, right? And in that case, you would need to invoice the author for the per finished hour part, and then Audible will collect every 20% of the sale of every book, and then at the end of the month, pay you the royalties that you've accrued. I hope that answers your question. Any other platform that doesn't collect the funds up front from the client and holds it in escrow and then pays you when the order is complete, like Fiverr and Upwork, that you don't have to worry about. But if someone's doing business directly with you, say they found you on social media, reached out to you and say, hey, well, I love your voice, I want you to narrate my book, then that also would be a place where you would need to have some sort of an invoicing platform that you use to invoice the client directly. And again, have a 50% upfront payment structure. I hope that answers your question. Phil says, I prefer Royalty Share Plus, only Royalty Share is easier to get scammed by frauds on ACX. And that is where you do your due diligence. And really, getting scammed is really everywhere. You just have to mind your P's and Q's. You have to ask questions. You have to do your own research on your end to make sure that you are investigating. I mean, even go so far as to look at the title on ACX. If the name on the book, the author of the book written by, doesn't match the person you're talking to on ACX or wherever, ask who that person is to them, right? Or find their About the Author page on Amazon or find their website and reach out to them directly. Hey, I'm sort of getting my spidey senses are tingling, right? I would like to just check with you and make sure that you have your book on ACX available for audiobook production and see what they say. Do your due diligence. Protect yourself by doing everything that you can before you even start on this book. That is my best advice for you on that. But scamming is really, it's everywhere. It's rampant. You just have to be mindful of it and do your own due diligence on your end. Yes. Oh, there's a super chat. Hold on. Sean Lester 007. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Thank you for the super chat. All authors start at the bottom. Yes. Everybody starts from the same place, no matter what you're doing. We all start from zero. We all start from zero, and we have to work our way up. So we have to be cognizant and compassionate of that, right? We all start from the ground floor. We all work our way up. So don't discount anybody just because they're just starting, right? We all deserve a chance. I'm thinking that I might discover the next Grisham and ride the wave. Exactly. That may well be a royalty share job. Yeah, could you imagine? Oh my gosh, that would be fabulous. Thank you again for the super chat. I appreciate you, Sean. You're the best. Now I have to find where I left off. Oh my gosh. Okay, here we are. Joy. Hi, Joy. Good morning, Angela, and everyone from a very windy Michigan day today. It's supposed to be really windy here today, too. Rainy and windy. What is going on? Andy B says, I heard there are issues with Upwork, Fiverr, and Voice Bunny. Is it wise to avoid these platforms or not due to all the traffic through there? I've heard there, I mean, there's pros and cons with every platform that you're on. I don't know what issues you're talking about specifically, but there are pros and cons to every platform. So I would say check them out. Read the fine print. Get some feedback on what other people think about them. But just keep in mind, like we mentioned before, people posting stuff on social media, we're more apt to post stuff about the negative things, right? We're going to go onto social media and vent about, a tough time that we had with a client or something that went wrong or something that we were upset about. We're not going to be posting so much on social media about the good things that happened. We don't see that nearly as much as we see negative stuff. So keep that in mind when you're looking at these platforms, but there's definitely pros and cons to all. I am personally on all of those sites. I don't do much work through Voice Bunny. I haven't in a long, long time, but I do work with Upwork and Fiverr almost daily. So, and I've done just well with those platforms and just about any other that I'm on. So I would not say avoid them, but I would say definitely check them out and read the fine print and just get a pulse on what everybody else thinks about it and then make your own decision on whether or not you want to be on these sites. Yes. Coolest Reviews says hello. Hello, Coolest Reviews. Thanks for joining us today. Anthony says it's a fat Taco Tuesday, everyone. Yes, it's a fat Taco Tuesday. You know what? Let's jump on over to the poll really quick now that we're talking about fat tacos, and I'm feeling hungry. So today's poll again was, what pay types do you typically look for when you're searching for an audiobook to narrate? So it looks like we have 46 votes, and a good portion of you say any and all pay types, 63% of you. I think that's a good way to look at it. And then 30% of you said per finished hour, and then 7% of you said royalty share or royalty share plus. I think having an open mind about any and all and asking questions of everybody that you talk to, regardless of platform, regardless of how they found you, just make sure that you're doing your due diligence and that you're talking to the appropriate person who owns the rights to this book, that has the permissions to have it made into an audiobook production. That is just good business and protecting yourself in the best way that you can. Okay, now I got to find where I left off again. Hold on. I think I left. Oh, here we go, Sean. Have you noticed physical changes to your voice since doing VO full time, i.e., a lowering of comfortable pitch, more resonance? Physical changes. I think the physical changes for me that I have noticed since I've been doing this for almost 5 years now is that I've always been very articulate. I think I'm even more articulate now. So I have to be very cognizant of how I am narrating scripts so I don't sound like an AI, like a very articulate AI. So I have to really relax and just sort of slur words together and just use contractions more often, and then sort of just let go of the need to be articulate, although it is just ingrained in my brain to be articulate. Also, I've noticed that my lung capacity has increased just by narrating long form, because you're having to hold your breath longer and not sound like you're running out of breath at the end of a sentence, right? Or figuring out a better way to take a pause and take a breath and then cut it out and post if it's a big gasping breath. But those are really the only physical changes that I've noticed. I think I've become more articulate, and I think pronouncing words has definitely gotten easier. And my lung capacity has definitely improved. But lowering of comfortable pitch, I don't think so. I don't think so. I think I maybe tend to project more when I'm talking, perhaps. A lot of the things I do when I'm narrating or doing voiceover has just become normal everyday parts of speech, I think. Yeah. Annie says, "Good morning. It's been a little over a month since I've decided this is the career path I want. I've been watching your videos every single day since." Awesome. I really appreciate everything you do. Well, thank you for being here, Annie, and welcome to the VoiceOver family. We're happy to have you. We welcome you with open arms. I'm glad you could be here. Cami says, "Good morning, Angela in chat." Yes. Good morning. Good morning. Good afternoon again. Good evening, wherever you are. Lewis says, "Hello from Oxnard, California." I'm from Southern California. I remember Oxnard. Angela, thank you so much for impairing me and teaching me. I'm impairing you or preparing you? I hope I'm not impairing you. I'm going to be transitioning into VO and narration over the next few months. Well, good. That's awesome. That is so awesome. I'm so glad that those of you that are just starting out are obviously doing the research that you need to do. And it's not just me here on YouTube. There's a lot of great voice actors here on YouTube that have a lot of great information to share. So definitely look around, read everything that you can read, listen to everything that you can listen to, and prepare yourself for lots of fun and exciting things in this business. Chris VGL says, "You can build a following in the audiobook world. If promoted correctly, people will follow your narration just as they follow authors." Very true. Read everything and promote yourself to profit from royalty share. What he's saying is that you could have a fan base. And you can. And I do. I have narrators that I prefer to listen to. And you can search by narrator on Audible, right? You can search by author or you can search by narrator. So if you develop a fan base, then people are going to be searching for more of your work, regardless if it was per finished hour or royalty share. So that's something else to think about. Thank you for bringing that up, Chris. That's a great point. Miss World Traveler says, "Hello, Angela. Good afternoon." Good afternoon, Miss World Traveler. Thanks for being here. Lorna's Adventures After 50. Hello, hello. Good morning from Oregon. Rainy, snowy mix today. New mini Mac gifted to me, getting in saddle to get going after getting well again. Well, I'm glad first and foremost that you're getting well again. And I'm glad you're feeling better. And a Mac Mini, that's cool. So it'll fit in your pocket when you're narrating. That's awesome. Getting back to it. Michael V says, I applied to the Voices Cloud platform about a year ago and was just informed I was approved and available for hire. Congratulations. Some of these sites, they just don't let anybody on. You have to apply with a demo, and then it takes them a little bit of time to probably sort through hundreds, if not thousands of demos to see who's got the chops to. I don't know what's happening. God, internet. Internet's been so weird. I think I'm back on now. Good golly, Miss Molly. Okay, Facebook user. Let's see. Phyllis. Hi, Phyllis. Phyllis in rainy Oregon. Raining all day today. That's usually how it goes in Oregon from my experience. Beautiful, but wet, green, and rainy. But I like it. Again, sorry, guys. I don't know why the internet's being so weird. I'm hardwired in. I don't know why it's being so weird. Love warranties. Who is this? Colette. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Warranties are the... If I could just have that peace of mind on everything. Mark says the Terminator book I've been doing is cool because the buyer adds music and really adds music and effects to it to make it a full production. That's cool. Now he wants to also do a Transformers project. Need to practice my Optimus Prime voice. That is cool. I'd love to hear that. Barb says, hi, Angela. What sort of questions should you ask an author before you start recording the book? I typically ask the author, once you're comfortable, I'm assuming you're asking after you've already done all of your Scooby-Dooing, but ask them if there's any particular tone, accents, if there's anything character related or anything that you should know, anything that they want included, any notes, any tone preference, again, accents, there's anything that they want included in this book before you get started, are good questions. Once you have the manuscript, if there's like a dedication and about the author, acknowledgments, references, anything other than the book content itself, like the bulk, like the body of the book, from introduction to epilogue or prologue to epilogue, ask them if they want any of that included, as far as acknowledgments about the author, stuff like that. I find that most audiobooks that I have heard and also narrated, I've not included those unless the author has specifically asked to have those included. But if you are including them, make sure that they are included in your word count, because that is part of what you're pricing out, right? Or part of the end price if you're doing per finished hour audiobook narration. If you're asking about beforehand, first and foremost, check their name against the name on the book. There are authors that use pen names or pseudonyms, right? So if the name on the book does not match the person you're talking to, then ask them, is this person related to you? Do you own the rights to this book instead of this person? And see what they say. If they say, no, this is just a book that maybe I had on my shelf and I couldn't find an audiobook for, then no, that's copyright infringement. There's copyrights on these books that belong to the authors, right? You can't just pick up a book off your shelf and ask someone to narrate it because you don't have the time to sit down and read it and you want someone to read it to you. That's infringement on someone else's copyright, on the author's copyright, and you definitely don't want to do that. That's why they are there, to not reproduce in any way, shape, or form and then exclude the person who wrote it, So just asking questions, knowing who you are as the professional, right? You are the audiobook narrator, and then asking questions of the person that you're talking to make sure that they own the rights to this book, that they are in fact the author or the publisher, and that you're secure in the information that they give you. And again, you can reach out to the author themselves directly. If you're approached on ACX or anywhere else, then go to their website and hit the contact me button and say, hey, I'm on ACX and I'm talking to someone we're talking about producing this audiobook. Is this you? There's nothing wrong with that. Most people would appreciate that. I would, if someone would just double check to make sure that I am who I say I am. Of course. Of course. EPHS. Any experience on the new 5th gen Rode NT1 XLR and USB mic combo with 32-bit float built in? Looking for character voice work where volume can change drastically. No, I haven't. I think my Rode, is it Rode or Rode? I can never remember. I bought one of those a long time ago. It was probably about 4 years ago now. So I don't have any experience with the newer ones. But I know that mine had a very nice sound to it, very low self noise and a nice warm sound to it. So it was a great mic. And then of course I bought my Sennheiser and then I've been hooked on that ever since. But as far as character work goes, if you have a little bit of compression added, that might help with volume, or you might need to back away from the mic if you're getting loud. And also finding a proper gain on your interface or your microphone, depending on if you're working with an interface or a USB mic, that's not going to, it's sort of like a happy medium, right? It's not going to make your regular conversation too loud, and then in turn make your louder voices blow out the audio, right? It might take a little bit of trial and error to find a happy medium in whatever you're working with. But I find that if you're getting loud, backing away from the mic slightly helps, or adjusting the gain might help a little bit for volume, for sure. But I'm not familiar with that particular generation of the mic. Andy B says, so after my knee replacement surgery, I decided not to go back to my full-time retail job. I joined voices.com during their Black Friday special. I've been told the early bird gets the worm. Yes. And that's true for every platform. The sooner you can respond, or the sooner you can submit your audition, the closer you are to the top on most platforms. Some platforms will match you to a client like, is Voice 123? God, I'm drawing a blank here, but one of them actually matches the client's description or needs to the appropriate voice actor. So you'll actually have like a rating, like this is a 90% match, an 80% match, 100% match. If you have 100% match, then your auditions will be closer to the top for the client. But more often, whatever platform you're on, the earlier you can respond, of course, the better. Because if you're responding after 100 other people have responded or submitted an audition, then the chances of them even seeing or hearing it are fairly low, right? So definitely, as soon as you see it and if you want it, go get it. Chris VGL says, is there a class on how to add music and lip syncs to VOs? I don't have one. I don't recall seeing any on YouTube, but that doesn't mean they don't exist. I would have to think there's got to be something here on YouTube that's got, somebody going through how to do that ADR. I've done it myself and just sort of felt my way through it. With Adobe Audition, you can have a video playing with timestamps and then recording, and then just try to match the script as best you can to what the actor or the person on the screen is saying. It takes a little bit of practice for sure. But adding music is sort of the same, idea in a multi-track on your DAW. You have your voiceover, and then you can, have music on as a separate track underneath it, and then you export those down together. I have something similar to that here on YouTube. It's called meditation or adding a music bed to a meditation, something of that nature here on my channel that goes over how to add a music bed. But as far as ADR goes or lip syncing, then I don't have one of those, but I'm sure somebody does here on YouTube. I don't know if there's a class on that either, but if there is, definitely share. Andy B says, so I can respond ASAP, and sometimes the jobs posted have tons of people responding. Yes, also on some of those platforms, if you're on a higher membership level, you will see that job before anybody else does. So the more you pay, the sooner you see the job and can respond to it. And by the time it gets to the lower levels of membership, then there could be already 50, 60, 70, 100 auditions submitted. So you have that to contend with too. But obviously, the sooner you respond, the better. JCCAOL says, hi, Angela. I'm curious, would you at some point write your own book on voiceover? I think you have a lot to contribute, and it would be a bestseller. There's a thought. Personally, I don't know if you guys... You're just making me self-conscious. I've never thought of writing a book myself about voiceover because what I say is pretty much what everybody else says. I don't know. I don't know if it'd even be worth writing, to tell you the truth. I don't know. Thank you for planting the seed, but I don't know. I'm just glad to be here. I'm just glad that you guys enjoy my tangents for the most part, but I don't know if writing a book would be, I don't know. I'm feeling all self-conscious now. I don't know, but thank you for the idea and for the consideration. Larissa says, hi, everyone. Larissa from Western Colorado, first time live, but listen to almost all of your wonderful chats. Still just starting, but have done a couple LibriVox stories. Well, good. And I'm glad to have you here. I'm glad that you caught us live and you're participating in the chat. I appreciate that. And for watching all of my other videos. I've got a lot of them. And welcome to the VoiceOver family. Glad to have you. Mark Flores says, Fiverr Seller Plus is worth it for the 1 week payout. Yes, I didn't even think of that because I'm a top rated seller, so I get a 1 week payout anyway. But he continues, the second tier is probably worth it because supposedly they say you have preferred vetting for being promoted to top rated seller when you hit the requirement. Fiverr says that? I'll have to go and look at these because my understanding is that becoming a top rated seller is not automatic. You are vetted by Fiverr. They choose you to be top rated. Once you hit all the necessary requirements, it comes to your customer service and how well you handle yourself, what your clients say about you. There's a lot that goes into it. Being in their program for the Seller Plus program shouldn't have any kind of effect on your being vetted for top rated seller, but I don't know that to be true. According to Fiverr, it's sort of a magical, mystical process where you're tapped to be in this program. It's not automatic. And being in this the Seller Plus program, with what they've said before, shouldn't have any effect on that either. But I don't know that to be fact. I'll have to go and look at the different tiers to see what it says. Thank you for bringing that up, Mark. I'll have to go put my investigative hat on. Tiffany's 80s Dream says, hi, Angela. When making a demo, what type of books, etc., is a person able to read for the demo if they haven't had a client yet? Isn't there copyright involved with this? There is. I can tell you that ACX themselves said for your samples or your demo to grab a book off the shelf and read it, because you're not reproducing the entire book. You're not saying that you wrote it. It's basically a demonstration of your narration skills. However, if you're if you're like me and you're just don't want to step on anybody's toes for any kind of reason, then you can always go to projectgutenberg.org. That is where you will find lots of books that are out of copyright and choose one of those to narrate. If you have no books under your belt and you need something to make a demo out of, you can do that. That's what I did. The classics are there, and you can choose a few different genres and a few different styles of read. Like, for example, a children's book, maybe something new age, maybe something horror, maybe something with characters in it. And then you can take, 15-second samples of those reads and then put them in a audiobook narration compilation demo, and then have, again, each one of those separate as well as a separate sample demonstrating a specific genre, right? So you could do it both ways. I highly recommend having both kinds of demos for different situations. I hope that makes sense. Jeff Freeman. Okay, cool. So we'll call you Jeff. Jeffrey 906 live podcasting on YouTube has helped me get work. So yes, social media can certainly help you get noticed or heard. Absolutely. And that goes with any kind of social media, right? Not only podcasting and YouTube, but TikTok, Reels on Instagram, Shorts, Twitter, anywhere that you can have, I know I'm forgetting one, anywhere where you can have video or audio. That is an opportunity for someone to hear you and then to come to understand that you are a voice actor or an audiobook narrator and that you offer services, and here's where to find me, right? And then also having a website is definitely advantageous, because if you're all over social media, you're going to have to reference some ground zero, some home base that people can come to learn more information, to contact you directly, to perhaps hear your voice demonstrating the types of voiceover or audiobook work that you do, right? Maybe a price guide, a rate sheet, something. But yeah, definitely social media is a great way. It's one of the better ways. All it costs you is time. In most cases, a little bit of time to create a video or an audio snippet or something to share on social media. It's free advertising and marketing. And then you make great connections that way too, right? Through the interwebs and the algorithms. Andy B says, Chris VGL, I am still reading and researching. Don't get stuck in procrastinating stage, Andy. I do not have an optimum space and still a bit hazy on adding music and or sound effects in Adobe. I think I need more practice. Again, you don't have to add music and sound effects to your demos. You don't have to. It could be just you narrating. Don't overcomplicate it. Don't hold yourself back by thinking that you need to have this or you need to have that. Don't get stuck in the procrastinating stage. Just put all that aside, take everything that you've learned thus far, and just record something. Just do it. Just go record something, Andy. Just do it. I want to, next week, here's your homework, Andy. By next week, I want to hear you say, I did it. I recorded a demo and it's fabulous. That's what I want to hear you say next week. Elizabeth says, thank you, Angela. I'm in the standard tier now, which has analytics. I love the analytics. The premium tier has the dedicated success manager and is very tempting. And yes, to Mark Flores, 7-day payout for both is awesome. That is definitely something that is awesome. Awesome. It's awesome. My mouth just gave up on me, guys. Good golly, Miss Molly. All right. Becky says, hi, Angela. What invoice system do you use? I have PayPal and Payoneer. I also have QuickBooks, but I don't use the invoicing system there, but there is one there. But PayPal Business is pretty much how I do most of my business when it comes to invoicing and keeping track of money in and money out. And it directly uploads everything into my QuickBooks, which is nice. Chris VGL says, Andy B Waves Clarity VX fixes everything possible in the room. I have horrid room tone due to living next to a railroad hub, popo station, fire station, and school. You just got that is like the epitome of noise where you're living. You poor thing. So you're saying Clarity VX gets rid of all of that noise? That is outstanding. I've been a big fan of NS1 from Waves for the longest time, but Clarity VX is quickly becoming a favorite. I've heard a lot of people say a lot of great things about it. I have it, but I don't use it because I'm sort of stuck in my ways. You know, old dogs can learn new tricks, but I like to stick with what works. But I know Clarity does wonders for reducing your room noise. Pamela says, "Good day. I heard ACX has invoice templates. True. Thanks for Thursday Night Platinum." Well, you're welcome. We're glad that you're there. Definitely an asset. I know ACX has a lot of templates. If you're on the ACX homepage and you scroll all the way down to the bottom where it says legal documents, I think is the verbiage, and you click on that, it'll take you to a page where they have downloadable independent contractor contract templates and a few other templates that I know that are there. I can see them in my mind's eye, but I couldn't tell you exactly what they were. So I don't know if they have invoice templates. They might, but definitely check it out. If you're on ACX, go to legal documents and see what's there. If not, then you might have to create your own. I'm sure there's got to be templates for it somewhere. I'll have to look at that. Maybe that's something we can look at this Thursday. Chosen Lightheart says, "Hi. I'm getting completely stuck with editing my audio in Audacity, and I can't recognize if my voice is all clicks. Which course of yours can help me? Thanks." I only have 2 courses available right now. I have the meditation or the healing with voiceover course where I go over ASMR and meditation affirmations and adding music and things like that. And then I also have my positive mindset course. I don't have any other courses right now. I'm updating a few of them. So those are the only 2 that are available. But I think what it comes down to more often than not is that we're overthinking and over editing our audio files. If you want to, if you're in my Facebook group, upload one of your files to the Facebook group, to the VO workshop, and ask for feedback. Don't say anything. Just say, "Hey guys, take a listen to this. Do you hear anything that I should fix?" Right? You might be leaving yourself open to a lot of constructive criticism, but if no one else hears what you hear, you might be overthinking it or over editing. But having multiple opinions on your audio files will definitely help you maybe ferret out what is a problem and what isn't a problem, right? Something that you shouldn't be spending time on. Steven says, "I personally would not go for per finished hour. Royalty share is the only way to go. I am so glad I caught your live presentation. My battery died during the last one." Well, I know I had a lot of Wi-Fi issues in the last one too. I don't know what's going on, but you probably didn't miss much. I was probably frozen half the time. You give great material. Thank you. Well, you're welcome. I'm glad you could be here. That's interesting. I don't think I hear that often, that people say, per finished hour is not preferable, that royalty share is preferable. It's usually the other way around. So that's interesting take. But there's not a wrong way to go. However you want to run your business is how you want to run your business, right? That's what I say. Lewis says, "Inspiring. You inspire me, Angela, not impair." Oh my God. I think I was picking up what you were putting down, but I just, I didn't think you meant impairing me. It back. Okay, good. Froze for a second. I don't know what's going on. Michelle says, "Hi, Angela. Hi, everyone. I so appreciate all of your teaching, mentoring, coaching. Thank you." Well, you're welcome. I'm glad that you get something out of all of my rants and tangents. Joy says, "I've done so much research for ACX and I'm ready to dive on in, but I don't have any samples at all. What can I do when I audition and they ask for them?" When you do an audition and they ask for samples, you might have to go record some really quick. But that is why I say have these already available on hand. And again, you can always use books out of copyright. This is called the public domain. You can use books in the public domain, which are out of copyright. So you have something. to share with them. And then also keep in mind all the auditions that you do. You can use those as samples on ACX as well and make a compilation demo out of them. So don't let not having any samples hold you back from moving forward. But I would say even have these on hand before you start auditioning, just to be prepared, right? If you're already on social media and starting to tell the world that you're an audiobook narrator or a voice actor, then people are going to eventually reach out to you for samples, something that they themselves can download because maybe they're not the end user. They have a client that maybe wants to choose a voice and they want your voice to be one of those ones that they present to the client to make a decision. So that way you can just go, oh yeah, sure. I'm going to send you a demo right now. So definitely have some samples, individual, genres or tones, and then have a compilation demo of a little bit of everything. Have those on hand before you start auditioning. And then as you audition, you're going to go, oh my God, I really loved how that audition turned out. And even if they said no, use that audition in your demo. Use that audition as a sample on ACX. Get more mileage out of the work that you've already done. Chris VGL says, internet companies are required to go full fiber optic by 2030. Nationwide, they are upgrading their lines and it's causing skipping in the national networks. It's the company, not any one person. Okay, that's typically how it goes, right? But that's cool. I didn't know that. So great. So we can expect in the next 7 years to have nothing but internet issues. Super. That's encouraging. But I'm glad to know that it's not just me. Thank you for easing that for me a little bit. JCC AOL says, for the gentleman doing Optimus Prime, look at videos with Peter Cullen. He is Optimus Prime. He is one of the best when it comes to voice actors. Yes, I'll second that. Tess Stalker says, I use the newest Rode NT1A. Absolutely love it. Was looking into upgrading and chose not to because I'm so happy. And there's nothing wrong with sticking with what you like, right? I tend to get the upgrade bug from time to time, but I have to tell you, my Sennheiser 416, this mic is 4 years old now. I bought it 4 years ago. Maybe it's not 4 years old, but you know what I mean. I've had it for 4 years and it ain't broke, so I'm not going to fix it. I do have a Lewitt, also a Lewitt 440, but I think that's my backup. If something, I'm just in love with my Sennheiser, and there's nothing wrong with using what works. Eventually, I mean, do consider having backup equipment so you're not in the middle of an audiobook or something and everything breaks or one thing breaks and you have no way to continue. You have to run out and go find another one. Consider having backup stuff, or keeping old gear. If you upgrade, keep the old stuff. Don't sell it off because you never know when something's going to break and you need something to continue on, right? But there's nothing wrong with keeping what you like. You don't have to upgrade if you don't want to, if you like the way it sounds. Rustic Hillbilly, morning. Glad you're here. Glad to see ya. Barb says, is there a way to know if you're asking too much for your services on Upwork? If you're not getting any orders, if you're not getting any jobs, then you might want to consider reducing your rates a little bit. You might be on the higher end of the spectrum for sort of your level on the platform. If you're like way more than everyone else in your similar situation, that might be a turnoff to people. They might go, well, what makes her so special? Clients don't typically understand how much goes into what we do and being prepared for what we do in terms of equipment, training, practice, time spent, sacrifice away from our families and learning and, setting everything up and working on our audio and everything that goes into it. So they might not understand why you're so much more than this guy over here if you guys are roughly in the same sort of level, right? But that's what I would do. If you're not seeing any kind of progress at all in terms of getting jobs at all, then you might consider, reducing your price a little bit. But again, I don't know the specifics of your situation, but that's what I would do. And then once you start to get a little bit of momentum, then you can tick them back up a little bit if you want. Or do more marketing. So more people will see your offerings instead of, the people that are now. Barb then says, Angela, please know that you are loved, respected, and appreciated. Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate that. I'm an introvert, so I'm very self-conscious about things, but thank you for that. Andy B says, I heard there is an audio software called WavePad, which is similar to Adobe Audition. I have Adobe because of all the pros use it, but WavePad is available for a one-time payment, no subscription. I am unfamiliar with WavePad. I don't know anything about it, so I'll have to write it down and take a look. I don't know anything about it, but it's definitely intriguing that it's a one-time fee because, pardon me while I chapstick, because Adobe Audition is a monthly subscription, right? But I'll have to check it out and learn more about it so I can intelligently speak on it. Becky says, procrastinating. That's brilliant. Thanks for the kick in the butt. You're welcome. And I can't take credit for that term. I heard it somewhere in a podcast like maybe a year or two ago, and it just stuck. And I'm like, oh my God, that's exactly what it is. We're keeping ourselves in the research phase because I need to learn this, or I need to get to this stage, or I need to do this. I need to be here before I can move forward. And that's just baloney. That's procrastinating. You're holding yourself back because you need to do X, Y, Z before you can move forward. That's procrastinating. Mm-hmm. Joy says, is it better to have a website before putting myself out there on social media? Yes. As far as marketing myself as a voice artist, absolutely. Because you never know. Your very first post could get the attention of someone looking for your voice, and they have no way of reaching out to you other than that social media platform. And if you have multiple balls in the air, as most business owners do, there's a chance that you might overlook it. Overlook the message. It's definitely good also to have a website for credibility. If you're on a bunch of platforms, you're on social media, you're on several different places, and not only that, but you could direct all of your traffic to one place, right? Where all of the additional information about you lives, but it also adds to your credibility. So if someone was to find you on Instagram, or they were to find you on Fiverr or Upwork or voices.com, and they want to know a little bit more about you, because, our clients do the same thing we do. They investigate. They want to make sure that you're a real person and they're not going to get scammed, right? So if you have a website that's all fleshed out with a contact me, a bio about yourself, a nice picture or a series of pictures, maybe a portfolio of things that you've narrated, or your samples or your demos, videos of YouTube stuff that you've narrated, it adds to your credibility and your professionalism, right? It makes you a professional voice actor. So that sort of, squelches the whole idea of, well, maybe they're a scammer or not a real person, because you have all of these profiles and a legit website as well. Clarity is fire. Clarity is fire. Apparently, clarity is fire, people. Yeah. And then Chris VGL says, yes, Waves Clarity VX on 76%. And I use NS1 on 15%, and I get a -70, -79 RMS. Best $30 investment. And yes, I'm in doom zone for noise. You are. I think that is got to be the most unideal place for voiceover. But that's just a testament to Clarity VX right there, and NS1. If you're in this place where there is just noise galore of all kinds, and those remove it, dang. And no, I don't gate. That's cool. That's awesome. Dude, that is definitely a testament to Clarity VX and NS1 right there. Jason says, better late than ever. Absolutely. Absolutely. Oh, hang on. We just got another super chat. Hold on. Reason. Hi, Reason. I haven't seen you in like ages. I'm so glad you're here, though. How are you? I'm glad that you popped in, and thank you so much for the super chat. You know, I'm a coffeeholic. I love my coffee. So thank you for that. Thank you. Thank you so much, Reason. It's good to see you. Glad to know that you're here, but man, don't be a stranger. Let me know how it's going, Reason. VoiceOver Vandine. Afternoon, all. Watching at X3 to catch up. Or times 3. Glad that you're here. Good to see you. Rich is here. Hey, Rich. WavePad is similar to Twisted Wave. Okay. I didn't know. Is it, I'm going to do my research. I'm going to check it out. But thank you for that, Rich. Cami says, Angela, I narrated short horror stories on my channel. How do I get my stories? I get permission from the writers from Reddit. It's a good way to make a demo, just a seed. Oh, you're okay. How do I get my stories? Definitely. I always say that Reddit, especially short horror stories, I've always wanted to do that, by the way. I'm so jealous, Cami. If you can get permission from the writers on threads like Reddit, and then narrate their stories and put them on a YouTube channel, that's just yet another way for people to find you and hear you, right? It's a great idea, and I've recommended doing that many times. And I want to do it myself. I just don't have the extra time. That's cool. Chris VGL says WavePad has a clause in its user agreement that includes anything recorded they own the rights to, including your personal or professional work. Stay away from it. Reaper is $60 without stipulations. Holy smokes. Look at Chris coming in with the dropping the knowledge on us. Oh my gosh. If that is the case, I'm going to do a little due diligence, guys. Make sure that, that goes with really anything that you use. Definitely do your research. Read the fine print on any and every place that you're on or use. Thanks for that, Chris. Joy says, thanks, Angela. That makes perfect sense to me. Good. I'm glad that some of my tangents make sense. VoiceOver Van Deen says, at Andy B, come over to the dark side and join the Reaper gang. 60-day free trial and the $60 one-time payment covers you for up to $20,000 a year gross revenue. Yeah, that's really cool. I know a lot of people use Reaper. Most often I hear Reaper and Adobe Audition and Audacity being used for DAWs. Masonry Construction says, if you rely only on social media, realize you don't own that media and the possibility you cut off. Go ahead and finish your statement there. But yes, don't ever put all of your eggs in just one basket, period. And that goes for pay-to-play sites, freelancer sites, social media platforms. Get out there everywhere. Spread your marketing fingers far and wide in terms of reaching out directly to people, maybe email marketing. You could even do cold calling, wearing a shirt with your name and logo on it or something about being a voice actor on it. Out in public that will start conversations with people. Go to your mom and pop shops, in your community. Join your, I can't even think of it now. Charter? Your charter, oh my gosh, I can't even think. Join like your city networking groups. Join, what is the word I'm looking for, guys? Like where you're in a community of other business owners. Get out there everywhere and anywhere to meet people and to make sure that people know who you are, what you do, and how to reach you. Javier says, asking for a friend. What is the best way to start I can use for a demo on ACX or VO? I am a starter and don't know what is the best direction to take. As we've mentioned already a couple of times now in the beginning, you might have just come in at the beginning of this video, grab a book for ACX. You can grab a book off your shelf, read that book as a sample, And then you can compile all of those different samples of different tones into a demo, right? For voiceover, I think it's always better to write your own scripts, but there are different websites where there are practice scripts, but they don't want you to use those practice scripts for your demos. They're there for practice purposes. But if you can read through these scripts, and that is voices.com and Edge Studio and some of the others have practice scripts on them. But if you do use those practice scripts, make sure that you're understanding the verbiage, how they're laid out, and write your own scripts if you want to. Or you can always have a copywriter make scripts for you for demo work. But it's tough in the beginning if you don't have something to narrate, right? But ACX does say that you can use a book off your shelf for your samples. That is the best direction to take. If you're not comfortable with using a book off your shelf, you could go to sites like projectgutenberg.org, where the books are out of copyright. They're public domain books, and choose one of those to use until you start to get some titles under your belt. That's what I did. And Reason says, I've been doing very well, staying busy recently. That's great to hear, Reason. I'm just glad you're here. Thank you for the update. Masonry Construction says, social media sometimes goes out of business. Own your home base. Social media is just a form of marketing, but you definitely want to have a home base. Just in case something does go away, people can still find you, right? If Fiverr goes away, Upwork goes away, ACX goes away, Twitter goes away, whatever goes away, you still have an alternate place that you're easy to find, and that would be your website. CC, Chamber of Commerce. Thank you, Rich. I don't know what happened. I could not. Good God, getting old really stinks. It's like thoughts just fly away. They're there and they go, hey, and then they fly away. Thank you for that, Rich. That's exactly what I was thinking of. Good golly. Eric says, could you elaborate on floor noise? I believe ACX requires between 18 dB and negative 23 dB. And why don't you gate? Your noise floor is the ambient room noise. And that needs to be, after all of your processing and normalizing, the end result needs to be under negative 60 dB. What you're referring to in terms of the negative 18 to negative 23, that is your RMS. That is it's just a fancy way of saying really the average volume of your dialogue needs to fall between negative 18 and negative 23 dB. I have a handful of videos here on my channel where I go through the entire process of auditioning for an audiobook on ACX, from finding a book to audition for, to recording, to editing, to processing the file formatting standards, and then submitting the audition. So definitely check one of those out. There's a lot more to it than what I'm just stating. There are a handful of standards that you need to meet for ACX. So, but that is what those are. VoiceOver Van Deen says, small business administration groups, SCORE, Business Network International, Chamber of Commerce, thank you, National Federation of Independent Business, all can help you out for networking and advice. Beautiful. Thank you so much for all of that. Masonry says, said another way, own your assets. Absolutely. Javier Salazar, thank you. That's really helped. You have been very helpful to me in this journey. Well, good. I'm glad. That's all I'm hoping for. Okay. Last comment. I do have to get running. There is another meeting after this here shortly. I got to run. Joy West says, Angela, I have tons of books on my shelves. I can just write a compilation. of the for a demo. And yes, getting old really stinks, especially with the achy knee. Oh God, the achy knee. My knees. Oh my gosh. Write a compilation. So you're saying to like make your own script out of sections of the books that you have? You could, if you wanted to. But yeah, use the books off your shelves for ACX. But although you want samples on ACX that are, because you know how you can assign them a particular tone or style or character. So you want a separate sample for each one of those. Like, for example, if you have a horror book, you want to be able to tag it horror and maybe dramatic read or spooky or something like that, but that's only going to pertain to that particular sample. So you want to have separate samples of different tones or styles of read or genres to upload to ACX, because a rights holder looking for somebody has got a particular book in mind, right? If it's a spicy book, if it's a horror book, if it's a children's book, they're going to be looking for a narrator who can handle that kind of read, right? So make sure that all your samples are separated that way. And then make a compilation demo in case someone finds you on ACX, they reach out to you directly and they say, hey, I've got a roster of narrators and I want to add you to it. Do you have a compilation demo? And that's when you would give them your compilation demo. I hope that makes sense. Maddie C says, okay, really quick, I'm going to go through these really fast, then I got to go. Since becoming allergic to makeup, this seems like my best option. What? You're allergic to makeup? Oh my gosh. Leslie says, what is the difference between edited audio and mastered audio? Edited means all the mistakes are gone. All the, clicks, everything that's not supposed to be there is gone. And then mastered is when it's fully processed, right? It's fully equalized, normalized. It's fully done audio quality wise is what that means. Jason says, do you do post as a whole book or by the chapter? By the chapter. Use the table of contents as your guide and how to break up the files. They're all separate unless the author is putting it on YouTube, right? And they want it all together as one body, right? Like one video they're going to make out of it. But check with the author and how they want it. But if it's going to ACX, then yes, absolutely. It has to be broken up by section. Facebook user really quick. This is Phyllis. Would you prefer Isotope RX Elements over Isotope Standard? The standard package and the advanced package in Isotope have mouth declick. Therefore, those are the two packages I would recommend in Isotope just for the mouth declick. If you have, the sticky mouth sound, that plugin in itself is worth every single penny for the entire suite of standard or advanced in Isotope. I would not get Elements unless you get Elements and then upgrade to standard or advanced. I hope that makes sense, but I do have to go. I have got to run, but I will see you guys all next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. Thank you so much again for joining, and I hope everybody has a fabulous week. I'll see you all then. Bye.